Hello, I'm Jeff Banks and welcome to Retail Insight here at the Spring Fair. I'm with Ray Qudos from Keplin and we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Spring Fair, which is still the largest trade exhibition in Great Britain. Quite a monument to actually reach 75 years of age. But more importantly, what I actually want to do is talk to Ray about what the Spring Fair means to him. But first of all, Ray, tell me a little bit about Keplin. What is Keplin? What does it do?
Well, lovely to meet you, Jeff, and a pleasure to be here. Keplin is a fast growth, direct-to-consumer e-commerce business. It was, when it first started, only just 6 years ago, an idea at university of our founder, who, by the time he left university, there was 3 people in it, and it was turning over just £2 million. Subsequently, since then, in the last 5 years, we've grown to 50 staff. We've got a 150,000 square foot warehouse in Birmingham. We've got 17 high-velocity, direct-to-consumer brands with over 500,000 reviews online. This year, we'll probably hit around about 30 million plus turnover.
So are those brands that you've actually generated and created, or are they brands that you license?
They are brands that we've created. So being sort of innovators in the digital landscape, we feel we have the opportunity to carve a space that is high feature-led, high quality durability in our product range. We're at a great affordable price for consumers. But what the digital landscape gives us, Jeff, is the opportunity to speak direct to consumers. And our business has been all about delivering to them, building these brands. Each brand has its own reviews, and in this day and age, they're critical for you. But now we're in a position to take those brands and deliver them to retail.
So taking and creating a brand from the ground up, who does that? And give me an example of one of those brands, how you've taken a conceptual idea and manifested it into, I presume, a product of some kind.
Indeed. Well, the team now ranges from a great product design team, we have a buying team, we have a sourcing team, we have our in-house marketing team and agencies that help us. But the brand I'll give you, Jeff, is one that we're just about to launch called Lugg. It's a consumer luggage brand. We do a whole 3 ranges within that, aiming it at business travelers, young generational travelers, families. There's a whole range of colors. Completely branded, completely bespoke to us, launched on Amazon and offered out to our retail partners as well.
Now, Lugg, aimed at who? What would you say is the special feature of it, the USP that is going to make that different from all the luggage that all these other retailers, from Primark to Selfridges, are flogging? What is it that you've got in Lugg that is actually going to make traction in the market?
Oh, that's a question that we pondered over many a time internally as well. Of course, you have to. I think what we've tried to deliver there is like a range of features and benefits and quality within that product at a price point that is considerably lower than what you would expect. So we feel as though we have a product where one of the cases within the space you may assume with the features and the quality it comes with would be roughly around about £100 retail, but we'll give you that case for £40.
Now, is that because you're cutting out all the middlemen, you're going to the sourcing, delivering it straight to the consumer and cutting out all of that middle margin?
I think Jeff could have a job in our business. That's exactly it. Thank you, Jeff. It is that. And I think what that does when you start with our kind of background is we are able to leverage that into the retail space with some of the partners that we're speaking to, where we want to introduce it into their red brick footprint. We have that cost saving because we can buy in real scale, like several containers at once, and we're straight to the manufacturer with the idea. We bring it straight in. All the margin is cut out. There's no fat in there. And then we can deliver a great product to market to the consumers.
That's interesting, because what you get is when you actually have that direct factory to consumer route, you cut out all the fat, whatever, but there ain't any margin in there left for you to then be able to wholesale it to a retailer, because they want their bit, you still want your bit, the manufacturer wants their bit. How do you overcome that?
Well, Jeff, again, very good question. But in fact, if you order, as we are now quite a considerable size of business, enough volume, we make it on volume. What we love about our retail relationships is we're not selling one at a time through a website or through Amazon, which is the model that we're really comfortable with and absolutely enjoy. But we can go to a real red brick player, 1,000 units, 3,000 units, and they'll take it all in one lump sum. We already have the pipeline, we're having it made, it's being shipped in, and then we make our margin on that. So we feel as though we're kind of covering what we consider to be a very modern direct-to-consumer outlook mixed with what is a very traditional red brick output and giving it the sort of uniqueness and USPs attached to a player like ourselves with those ideation in-house, creation in-house, manufacturing virtually in-house, quality assurance in-house. I think it works for both markets.
How are you finding the cost of containers, given that you're in the luggage business?
What a question. We were just asked this on the voice pop upstairs. We're doing about 50 containers a month.
Right.
We can't ignore geopolitics. Shipping, when you get to a sort of scale, you can sort of, and in fact, we did a night out with Maersk. Jeff, it went into the early hours, but certainly what you can appreciate is you can forward buy and sort of try and mitigate a degree of risk. But I mean, as an e-commerce player, it's borderless, it's global. We're affected by global events, and what's going on in the world at the moment has meant that shipping is rather expensive and delayed through the Suez Canal.
But you've got containers probably 8 times the cost
of what they once were. Yeah, I mean, they've come down. Yeah, they've come down. Yeah, they've come down a little bit.
They're still 8 times what they were 2 years ago.
Absolutely. And what you have to do then is be extremely lean in other parts of your business to ensure you get your return on investment for that product. Consumer prices, I think, have adjusted. I think there has been, as we all know, inflation over the last few years. One can't ignore that. But within the cost of living crisis, I think we as a business are still trying to maintain a quality product at a price that people can afford, which means then we have to be incredibly smart about how we execute a product, deliver it to market, deliver it at that price. There's no margin for error, I think, is where we would say we make cost saving.
Yeah. In terms of your association with Spring Fair, you're an exhibitor there. How important is that to you?
Well, Jeff, I've got an admission to make. We exhibited for the first time this year. So
you're a Spring Fair virgin?
Basically. But one might assume that a digital direct-to-consumer business wouldn't want to do a traditional fair. Right? Yeah. Why would we do that? But in fact, we made that investment, and we made a considerable investment. We didn't just go and take like a little stand. We went all out, Jeff. We had the biggest digital screen at the show. We sponsored a space between the halls. It was called the Keplin Cafe, and did a daily hour free drinks giveaway at the end of the day for everyone. And we went so big into it because what the fair gave us was not what people would just traditionally think as all the buyers walking through the space, obviously small to large. But what it also gave us was like immediate feedback. People came on the stand and told us what they thought, unfiltered, not a review that comes through Amazon once they've purchased the product. We had an opportunity to liaise with our audience, and not just our audience, but potentially people who we would never have spoken to before.
But why at a trade fair and not at, say, a consumer fair, when you're a direct manufacturer to consumer organisation?
I think we're looking to, as I've explained, drive our business in two areas now. Try and see if we can build a relationship with retailers. And in that space, I think Spring Fair holds a unique position with its history, with its legacy. It can't be ignored. But then one also hopes that the fair is looking forward at the next 75 years and understanding the changing landscape, and maybe even trying to deliver something that's slightly nuanced for emerging players like ourselves.
Do you think it will expand into becoming a hybrid of a trade and consumer fair? Is that what you would see happening? Not beyond the wit of man.
No, but I think you're touching upon something there that I think they should consider. Why not? An individual consumer is no longer just an individual consumer. A consumer now is also an ecosystem. With all the social media that they have their own footprint. Some are influencers in their own right. Appeal to them. Do a blended approach. And I think generally the show has an opportunity with its history where, and you've worked in your space for as many years as you have, Jeff, there's, I think, still a lot to be said about legacy brands being able to pivot into the modern landscape of Gen Z buyers and the way people buy online and through their mobiles and through social apps and integrations. And the right historic brands don't live looking backwards. Yeah. They leverage what they have into looking forwards. And I look forward to the show doing that.
Keplin, in terms of its environment and sustainability, where does it stand on that, given that the products that you are actually manufacturing, I would imagine, are heavily petrochemical reliable?
Some of them are, but what we aim to do with each of the manufacturers and the suppliers that we have is we have all of our ethical standards and our safeguarding to ensure that the supply chain is as clean, as ethical as it can be. But then in terms of sustainability, I mean, who can ignore that? It goes not just through clothing, but all the way through to consumer products. So one of the products that we're helping to bring to market in partnership with an ally of ours is something called eco bags, which is 100% recycled plastic bag that you use as a consumer for your waste products. You use it in retail, you can use it in industry, and we're bringing that to market. I think to ignore the importance of clean supply chain, ethical supply chain, and fully resourced recycled products, brands would be foolhardy not to have something in their portfolio that appeals to the audience on that front.
Yeah. Where do you see you as an organisation now, 2 to 30 million in
5 years?
5 years. Where do you see the company now going, and where's its growth going to be, again, triple that, quadruple that in the next 5 years?
I mean, we all face our challenges in growing business. And that old adage of you don't make money without money is very true here. You get to a certain size and product planning and product line extension is quite a significant investment. Where we see our growth in is doing that to a degree with the brands that we've created with some of our retail partners. So allowing them to have in bulk taking advantage of some of the great brands that we've created with the, several 100,000 sort of 5-star reviews attached to those, which kind of de-risks and de-leverages our position and then allows us to maybe then go away and curate product and line extensions over here, direct to consumer, get them right, get the reviews right, and then again feed the retail machine. So that blended approach of direct to consumer plus retail, I think has like vast opportunities. And players like us, we de-risk that for our retail players by going and creating something that works, that has an audience, that has traction first before a large organization may want to take a risk and order 10, 20, 30 containers. And the next thing, Jeff, is borderless. If you're a success here, I think you can be a success in America, you can be a success in Europe. So our growth plans are to stabilize what we're doing here, and then, dude, come and join us on our US adventure. We'll be there next year.
It's been a graveyard for a lot of retailers and companies, America. Topshop, Ted Baker.
To name a few.
To name a few. A difficult market to crack, the American market.
But also, and I think we like a little bit of chaos. It keeps us agile. And we're a young business. We're not full of sort of 5,000 employees and that kind of capital intensive overheads. America for us is, as should be for everyone, the largest consumer marketplace and can't be ignored. And if you've crafted your business through the sort of techniques that one needs to be direct to consumer on platforms like Amazon, then you almost have a route to market there with your relationship with Amazon to go in there and start building. You don't have to go in and do what traditional brands may wish to do, which is go and try and build a retail footprint first. Digitally, I think it's I wouldn't necessarily say it was easier, Jeff. That would be doing us an injustice. It's just if you've got a secret sauce and a recipe that's worked, I think the opportunity to expand is there, and what you're limited by is just your own fears, your own limitations. I think every brand should have aspirations to grow internationally.
your continued relationship with Spring Fair, where do you see that going?
Oh, we're there again next year.
Bigger?
Bigger, better. We're now sitting on the board with them. We take an advisory position with them. We're gonna try and be a voice that talks about businesses like ours, the digital space, because we think we're one of thousands that should be at the show, and we should be there to kind of breach that next move for the show and for the retail industry, where it looks back and looks forward at the same time. And from the experiences that we've had here, in the show that we just did, we've recouped our investments so far by a factor of 10. By the end of the year, it'll probably be a factor of 20. And we want to sort of really leverage that again next year. We want to make it exciting, not just for us and our company and our employees to turn up and enjoy, but also for attendees, for other exhibitors. The show is such a classic example of an opportunity for everyone to leave after 4 or 5 days with an incredibly positive experience in one way or another.
So what have you brought to their table? There you are, relatively young business, apart from some of the giants that actually exhibit there, pipsqueaks, yeah? And yet they're actually looking for you to advise them on the future of the exhibition. What are you bringing to the table that they ain't got?
I think, and this probably harks back to some of the things that you've done in your life as well, Jeff. Let's be honest, you've been a bit of a maverick at times. You've delivered things to big players. I remember the relationships you've had with some of the retailers that aren't sadly around anymore. But we didn't bring a traditional focus to it. We brought, like we're kind of like new kids on the block. We haven't got a history of, it must be and it should be, and this is the way it's always been done. We brought why can't we do it like this? And do you mind if on our stand we don't just have shelves with product on, but we have large digital screens? Ours was a 6-meter screen by 2 meters, and we showed video on there, and people could walk past and see what we had. We gave digital catalogues to people. We displayed, I told you we had 17 brands. We bought 6 of our major brands on stand and gave everyone a touch and a feel of those. It was just trying to do things, not necessarily our way, because that would sound a little bit arrogant.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
but just a little bit differently. And I would say this about the show, we were probably quite the pain in the neck, sort of saying to them, do you mind if we do, could we have, and they were running around a little bit.
Might I say, I can imagine.
Well, yeah. But I think it was so fresh to have that for, I think, the attendees. Because I think if you're investing in a show like that, and I'm the marketing director there, so obviously I'm going to bleat about these things. I think you have to take care of what your audience is. And I think the show's audience isn't just the exhibitors. I think it's the people that are turning up. I think you have to be focused on delivering an experience from the moment that you announce the show, digitally, how you get there, at the show, they leave the show, the week after the show, they're still being engaged. There's a whole experience to be had there that I think, from a marketing perspective and an engagement perspective, is a branding opportunity for us all. And it's just trying to be a little bit more kind of less hard sell.
Can you remember what the feeling was like when you walked into the exhibition on day 1, hour 1, minute 1? Can you remember what your feeling was like?
We didn't have a clue what we were doing. We turned up with the team. We were like, do we hand out leaflets? Should we turn the music up? Do we grab people? How does it work? What are we supposed to do? We had no idea. We literally just turned up blind and just started talking to people as we went past. I'll tell you what it did for us as a business. We brought quite a team along and had them on there. I think it really pushed people beyond some of their boundaries, getting them away from just sitting behind a computer screen and seeing their actions only on a screen or on a platform, but then seeing it on people's faces when they were touching and feeling product and looking at the stand and enjoying a few drinks on us, which I still think Keplin Cafe was a genius idea. I'm responsible for that. Said people in Hive might try and take some glory. But we were exhausted by the end of it, Jeff, but happy exhausted. It was worth the investment, not just of time, but energy.
You obviously, a very young company, got very young people in it, probably not experienced at actually standing up in an exhibition and having to sell. And it is an experience. If you've never done it, it's like an avalanche.
And quite brutal.
How did they cope? Very brutal. How did they cope with it?
Some people will, well, not for everyone, but some people are there, Jeff, as I'm sure you can appreciate, who are just wandering through, don't want to be troubled. And I suppose, like, we're not a hard sell company. You know, we hark back to what I said earlier. We wanted to give people an experience of what we were about. And the stand was just so engaging. Like, the music was cool. The video and the images that we were using were cool. I think perhaps one of the biggest compliments people can give us is the toilets were behind us. So people are walking through to the ladies' room and the gents' room, and the stand grabbed their attention as they were going to the toilet. And these shows, you know, people are walking around them all day, they're exhausted. So just to grab their attention as they're there to relieve themselves was a backhanded compliment to us, where we'd say, oh, do you like what you see? And they're like, it was only on the way to the toilet.
What? There was somebody famously said to me, the first time I ever showed at the Pret-a-Porter in Paris, yeah? And it was the first opening of the Pret-a-Porter before anything ever happened. And I was worried about going there as this kind of like fairly young company from England. And they said to me, if your product is good enough, they'll find you in the lavatory.
Right, I'm having that as a strap line. Am I allowed to, can I pinch that?
Great, can I ask you, finally, if you had to sum up Spring Fair with one word, against your articulate lexicon of words, obviously, what would that one word be?
It was eye-opening.
I'll take that as one word.
Yeah, we'll do that. There's a little hyphen in the middle, but it was eye-opening for us. I hope to see more digital brands like us there next year.
Great.
Pleasure. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much indeed.